You can spend money on many shiny things in this world. You can even spend shiny money on other shiny things. But there's only one shiny thing that affords you the ability to create the shine which reflects off of the outside world and without which nothing else could have any shine to begin with. I'm talking about light. But before you see me with the flashlight that this review is showcasing, I can first use it to see you. This is, of course, called a photonic barrier, and it's only one example of how such a light can push beyond the realm of being a useful EDC tool and into the defensive carry arsenal. One of the most fascinating uses of a photonic barrier is while night hunting with visible lights. Logic says that a wild animal would be scared by a bright light source, but by directing the light towards the animal, they will walk right up to you as they are being distracted by your hunting calls, and your light works as a curtain which they can't see beyond. This is a fascinating skill to toy with, and this tool is the perfect implement for that and much more, depending on the situation. Though this YouTube channel has a heavy slant towards night vision, the objective of my work is to ultimately inspire people to go out and experience the world at night, and for that objective, I do believe this review of the Lumintop AD01 flashlight will fit in just perfectly for quite a few reasons that we will explore. First and foremost, though, I'm proud to mention that this unit was provided to us by Urban Survivor on YouTube, who also manages to run what happens to be one of the most pleasant to navigate, professional, and reliable websites to source awesome gear such as this and much more. An affiliate link will be provided in the description to his website, Goodnight Gear, and I look forward to hearing your positive feedback after dealing with such a great friend, content creator, and businessman. Feel free to use coupon code Don't Do Daylight as well. Having briefly mentioned night vision, I'd like to next address this flashlight's affordable price point. We all know how expensive night vision can get, yet even the cheaper digital night vision units are easily multiple times more expensive than the Lumintop AD01. Many people argue that a quality flashlight, especially one such as this with its host of versatile features and abundance of performance ability, is a better way to navigate at night rather than opting for even the more expensive digital night vision products. Though we've already touched on how powerful this light can potentially be, let's now talk about one of its lesser appreciated features which connects beautifully with the same exact philosophy of use as I find most applicable to some of the night vision options on the market. This philosophy of use is navigating with as minimal of a signature as possible at night for stealthy travel during an emergency or generally when not wanting to be seen, and the awesome feature that this light has to accommodate this need is what's called moonlight mode. No matter which battery configuration you choose, moonlight mode allows you to produce an output of only 1 lumen. This is actually a similar signature to what somebody would see when looking at you wearing digital night vision with the built-in illumination turned on, and it is completely adequate to walk at night using the moonlight setting. Now, I did bring up how this flashlight allows you to use different battery options, and it's certainly worth emphasizing. This device allows for use with an 18650, D-cell, and even AA batteries, both rechargeable and disposable. The package also includes the necessary adapters to make this all happen. I'm a huge proponent of having the ability to solar charge your electronics, and that's just one more awesome ability of this flashlight. Though it isn't mandatory, feel free to use your rechargeable batteries to essentially make this light solar powered when connected to a solar panel or power station. Whichever configuration you choose does affect the output of the light, but you can use this to your advantage by, for example, utilizing a D-cell battery, which, though less powerful than something like an 18650, will allow you a staggering 15-day battery life in moonlight mode or 2 full days on low. On the opposite end of the spectrum from moonlight mode is turbo mode, which we will experiment with here under night vision, discovering how far we can see using this impressive setting. On top of everything else, this model also features a strobe, SOS, and beacon setting. Using flashlights as tools for communication is a use case that should not be forgotten, especially when considering emergency preparedness. Perhaps you don't have the means to communicate with somebody far away via radio or phone for some reason, but the light from this device will afford you the ability to send messages great distances as long as you are within line of sight of your peer. The AD01 has the standard low, medium, and high modes, which on its own is still more feature-rich than my EDC flashlight, which is the Surefire P2ZX Fury Combat Light. This light costs more than the Lumintop, though has only two states, on or off, and is rated at 500 lumens using two CR123A batteries. The previously mentioned functions of the Lumintop are the main ones that I think most people would be concerned with, though I would definitely utilize the lockout function if I were to transport this flashlight in a backpack compartment that contained other items that could potentially activate the flashlight by accident. Speaking of transporting the light, it's certainly not going to fit in your front pocket comfortably enough for daily carry, though I do find that it is easy to carry in the cargo pocket of my 511 pants with room to spare. You may ask, well, if it's fairly difficult to use as a daily flashlight, what other use cases does this flashlight have? This is where I'd like to separate prepping uses from recreation, because I can honestly easily conflate the two, but that's because I legitimately find prepping fun. Besides all of the emergency stuff and obvious advantages that such a light can give you for securing your property by identifying threats at hundreds of yards away, etc., I'd like to reiterate that you can still be fulfilled as an enjoyer of the night with nothing more than an awesome flashlight such as this. Whether it be a hike similar to one that you do under night vision, or even for camping, this light would be perfect. You heard me right. You can use this flashlight very similar to night vision, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't enjoy the night because all you have is an awesome flashlight. Find a nice trail, take this light out with you and look up at the sky, take in the powerful experience of the woods at night, and enjoy a nice bike ride where maybe you do throw in some awesome training like starting a small fire if that's allowed, or at least just get out of the house and moving with your friends and having some good conversation. Observe the wildlife such as beautiful owls, listen to the coyotes howl, and be alive while others are asleep. You can do that with this light, and with that, I'd like to exit this commentary and provide you with some live-action fun and testing with this device supplied to us from Goodnight Gear. My friend, please remember that you could directly send a financial contribution to this channel via paypal.me/don'tdodaylight. Thank you, and let us proceed. My friend, welcome to the unboxing portion of this video. There's something extremely special in this package that is not even included in a normal order, but you'll want to see it, especially if you're considering purchasing from Goodnight Gear, Mr. Urban Survivor. I'll go into deeper detail in a few seconds with that. Look at this beautiful box though. It actually reminds me very much of the NVG-10. And this is what you can expect to arrive at your doorstep inside of a bubble envelope. We even have the push to reveal. And let's open this up and get to all of the goodies inside. So we have our user manual. You'll get that, and let's thumb through that really quickly and just see about what it looks like. Very nice. So we have another little diagram here. But it seems that on this side is the English with all of the specs and information that you could want. Very nice to see. Now, let's just skip right to the special part right now. This right here is the battery adapter. You would receive this if you bought this package from Goodnight Gear, but what is included extra for me as part of this promotion is these batteries. And I just wanted to include that because not everybody would do something like that and include batteries in a shipment like this, just as a kind gesture. And I wanted to take note of that because that's the type of person that you're dealing with in a transaction with Goodnight Gear, is the type of guy who would send a product out and even include the batteries, which is completely unnecessary and just a kind thing to do. So You would receive this sleeve though, little battery adapter, very cool, and one of the package contents, just not including the batteries in a normal order. We have the lanyard, which seems to be of nice quality and very nice. We have some spare O-rings, which is always good, no matter whether you use them on this light or for some other project. And we have the Lumintop AD01 itself. It feels very nice in the hand. I absolutely love that. Look at that beautiful bezel from all angles, actually. This flashlight looks incredible. I'm so excited to use it. It feels great. My friend, I hope that you enjoyed this, and let's move on. Just as a quick note here, I have a feeling it's inside of the flashlight right now. I think we missed something. These threads feel nice. And, yep, there it is. There's another adapter. This is the 18650 adapter. So that's the second one that you would get. Being able to power this unit from an 18650 with this sleeve, D-cell, using no sleeve, or AA batteries. That is awesome. This user interface section of the video is being filmed only minutes after unboxing the flashlight, and I bring that up because it just goes to show how intuitive and easy to remember the options are, though they are plentiful. I did remove the protective film over the lens, so we'll get a true view of that, and I installed the lanyard. Very nice. This is a very simple procedure, and it is marked out beautifully in the instructions, so do not feel like you have to memorize it right off the bat, though it's actually very doable. I already did click this button 7 times in order to remove the blue light. If I did not do that, then there would be a constant blue light on here. So I turned that off just as a permanent setting. But besides that, we have one click, which will enter our low mode. As you can see, another click from there, we are entering the medium power. And now we have high power with just one more click. From any of these, you can double press, get into turbo mode, which is what we are in now. We can hold the button to turn the unit off, and then we can hold the button once more to enter either eco mode or moonlight mode, whichever you prefer to call it. And from this eco or moonlight mode, you can double press, and now you have your strobe. One more press from that, and now you have your CW or Morse code SOS message. And another great feature, we have the beacon with one more press from that. Just a random flash every so many seconds. Very cool. This is going to be extremely fun. I am so excited. Those are all of the settings. Very cool. My friend, I welcome you now to the live reaction. The very first time that I am powering this flashlight on the Lumintop AD01 at night outside, and I have picked a beautiful location. You just can't see it yet. Even though we have a lot of moonlight, it's very dark out. I mean, it's a little bit cloudy, but let's power this thing on. And this is where the benefit would come in of not turning that blue light off that is right here, but by feel, I know that I'm holding the blue light, and let's power the unit on and just go through the modes. So let's start by just a one press, and here we have low. To my eye, this is looking very nice, especially knowing that this is the low setting. We're going to stick to this field for this portion of the test. And I can see quite a bit. There is a little bit of fog, so you can actually totally see the beam, but very nice how we can see all the way, a little bit of detail. That tree line gets a little bit faded out. Zoom in there. We get some animal sounds. Very cool. Let's hit the next mode. medium. Now we are putting out some throw right there. We hear the owl greeting us. Now, to my naked eye, and on video actually, extremely clear this tree line. There is a hill far out there, which this beam is not reaching to. If there was a person standing anywhere in this field though, I would be able to see that. Lovely owl. Let's pump it up to high mode. So now, of course, we get a little bit extended range. I can see some of those treetops now and actual bases of the trees, the trunks that I could not have seen before. Very clear, very nice. Let's go ahead and double tap into turbo mode. And now we have turbo mode. Let's get a good zoom in there. As you can see, we are certainly able to light up those treetops. Quick zoom in. As you can see, able to distinguish all the way down. Very nice. Very cool. And this is through some fog. That is quite a lovely experience. And the Lumintop AD01 is not hot right now. Even though we are in turbo mode, it is not too hot to handle or anything. I can feel it getting very slightly warm, but that is all. Very cool. This is lovely. This reminds me of my hunting spotlight. I mean, it is very powerful. And you get a decent width of the beam. Very nice. Let's go now and actually see. I'll turn the unit all the way back down to low. See the difference between low and turbo is quite substantial, but having the ability to choose which one you want is awesome. If I wanted to be a little bit more stealthy, let's go ahead and try out now up close. We'll turn the unit off and hold the button once more. Now we have moonlight mode. So this here is 1 lumen, which is beautiful for being able to navigate. To the naked eye, this is a very low signature, yet I'm actually impressed. So that's very good. And from here, we have the strobe mode, which you're actually able to get a decent throw with that even. We have the SOS, so this is pretty important. Beautiful. And then we have the beacon, which is a pulse, just like that. So initial impression, I really like this flashlight, especially the fact that it did not get hot during that fairly long turbo mode activation, and how I'm able to see clear all the way to that hill is very impressive. The size, it was totally easy to carry in on this little hike and very enjoyable. I will see myself using this in the future many times. Very, very cool. Welcome now to the rangefinder portion of the test, where we will not be taking guesses. We will be giving real solid answers about how well this flashlight can see at very certain measured distances. We have quite a few objects in our immediate area that we will be shooting with the beam, and we will be taking measurements of their distance, so you have a very solid reference. Let's start powering the flashlight on low mode. I will arrange this right now. That area of brush is 30 yards away on low mode. That's what you're getting at, exactly 30 yards. Let's pan around, going quite a way around, seeing different distances. Here we have a little landmark So that area specifically is 110 yards away. So that's low mode. Over 100 yards, you have a very decent view of what's going on. As you can see from this angle here, over 100 yards on low mode. Now let's move further and further. We have that very back line way back there, that tree line at the very end. On low mode, we are getting a reading of 645. So 645 yards out of this flashlight on low mode. Very, very cool. And if I turn around completely, as you can see, just looking around this entire area, even in some decent fog, we have this area behind us, which is a little bit closer. That tree line is exactly 270 yards away. So that tree line is 270. Let's bump this up to medium. So we're getting that view at that distance. At 270, panning around this tree line here. We're going back now to that tree line. This is on medium, about 640 yards away. Very cool. Now looking through the viewfinder on the rangefinder, I can actually see all the way down there on medium, which is very cool. This is the closer wood line right here, about 110 yards on medium, getting a great view. Now going around back to this area of brush, you see how powerful and clear you can see that. Now on high mode, going to hit all of these same areas as well as panning around. Stop right there, that 110 yard, able to see extremely clearly. This is all through some fog, all the way down to that other tree line. And then panning even further, we'll go all the way around. I would be very comfortable using this light to move at night. Saw some lights over there, some eyes perhaps. Very comfortable using this flashlight in the woods, and I can see that tree line very clearly. Let's bump it up to turbo mode now. In fact, I can see eyes in that tree. You probably see that as well. You can actually see them blinking. Let me bump it up to turbo, so now it's on turbo mode. See, we've located a creature that is observing us just the same as we are observing them. So now in turbo mode, looking at the tree line, we'll pan, keep panning all the way around, going to the extreme distances. Now we will see the tree line furthest away. I can see the tree trunks to the naked eye. This is very clear. Look at that. That is impressive. That nearby brush area looking very good as well. Very impressive considering the fog especially. And we have that one that's about 30 yards away now. Obviously just shines it up. So there we have it, my friend, testing these modes out. Here's a good look at the moon. Another impressive test for the Lumintop AD01. Welcome now, my friend, to the comparison of every single battery variation that you can use and is advertised for the Lumintop AD01. We will start with the most dramatic instance, which I believe is starting with the D cell and then moving to the 18650. Then we will progress onto the two variations of AA's, which are the rechargeable and disposable versions. As you can see, we are in a dark area. This is the D cell, which we are starting with. Let's see how powerful it is. Right now on low, which does reveal a decent amount of area here. Using the wide angle lens on the camera, we will pan around and see that we have a very focused beam, and that tree fallen over there is clearly visible. This would be actually very comfortable to hike with. I think that this lower power, even in the lower power variant of a battery like the D cell, is very much worthwhile. I can see deep into the woods. Very nice. Bumping it up to medium now. We are getting, of course, a little bit more power. And now we are on high, looking very good. I can see some trails, looking at animal tracks, and higher detail is totally possible here. The treetops, bump it up into turbo mode. So we're essentially experiencing the highest power level available on the weakest battery configuration, which is very impressive still. Look at that. Those trees are quite far away, yet we can see very nicely. If there were owls or some cool sound, I have no misconception that if there were eyes or some type of predator watching us, we would totally be able to see them. I am really loving this flashlight. As you can see here, fits great in the hand, producing a very nice beam. Let's try the next battery configuration. Okay, my friend, this is only a few moments after the last recording ended. The battery swap was very quick. We are now in the 18650 configuration. I have the lanyard attached to my wrist, which makes me totally comfortable holding it over these rocks and the water. Let's go ahead and power the unit on here and make sure, okay, this is a great point. Make sure that this tail cap is super tight, or else the battery connection will not be complete, as you saw there. So we have our low mode, looking in the same exact areas as we were with the D cell. There is, at least to the eye, a very noticeable difference, more so when we get into the higher power modes like medium. I feel like medium with the 18650 is possibly even more powerful than the high mode on the D cell. It is a beautiful night out. Look at that fallen tree there. Even though the beam is very tight, I feel like we get a decent amount of width overall. It's just the very most focused part in the middle is, of course, very, very intense. Now we are in the high mode. You can see very deep into the woods. This is really lighting up the whole area. Bump it up now to turbo. Seems like the higher the power, the more I'm wanting to look into the treetops, because it's very impressive. You can totally see the beam itself. Very nice. That was low, medium, high using the 18650. Now let's move on to our next battery configuration. Another few short moments, and now we have the disposable AA's, which were again supplied graciously from Goodnight Gear for this review in its adapter. And this is the view on high. Very nice. This output is extremely great. So 18650 would be the most powerful if you're looking just for the highest output power. Overall, 18650 would be the best way to go. Then I'd say disposable AA's, then rechargeable, and then the D cell. But each of these have their own advantages, I would say. Now we're in low mode. Very nice there to see a difference going from high to low, what you're working with. Let's go ahead and check that log out again. And on medium, very nice. That was low, medium, and high using the disposable Amazon AA's. Here we have now the disposable AA batteries on turbo mode. Very high output, very detailed view, way up close. Able to see, actually, that's very cool. It's so powerful that it's reflecting off of this little puddle here and creating light all the way up in the treetops. That is very cool. That is disposable AA's on turbo mode. Now, another quick switch later, we have the solar rechargeable AA batteries. Rechargeable in general, I charged these earlier with a solar panel. One note that I would like to make is this lanyard is very nice quality, and if you are expecting to be performing battery swaps, it makes it very easy because when you unscrew this tail cap, you can just let it hang from your wrist while you're swapping different battery variations. So I do recommend actually using the lanyard. Let's power this on now. Here we are on low. Let's start with low, using the rechargeable batteries. Very nice for a moment there on high, but we will get to that. On low, this is looking very pleasant. I could totally walk with this. Looking at the treetops, we can see slightly to those treetops. As far as eye shine goes, if you do not know, animal predator eyes, they shine even with fairly dim light. Let's bump it up to medium. That's impressive. I must say that this light is extremely impressive, honestly. But even with a very low power, if you're looking to just see eye shine and then maybe bump it up to a higher power, that's actually a fun experiment to try maybe. Walking around with low power. Now we're on high. If you walk around with low power and then you see some eye shine, bump it up to high, maybe even turbo. So we're on high right now. Very nice, low, medium, and high. And now I just bumped it up to turbo. So as you can see, low, medium, high, and then turbo, which I don't see too much of a difference with that. Let's check this out really quickly. So we have low, medium, high, and then turbo. Actually, I do see a slight difference with the rechargeables on turbo mode. Very nice. I think that high and turbo on this flashlight in general is relatively similar, though there is a noticeable difference. It's just not insane. And by the way, this light has remained perfectly easily able to be held. It's not hot at all throughout this test. So very cool. Low, medium, high, and turbo mode. And those are your possible battery configurations. So, my friend, the Lumintop AD01 flashlight is IP68 rated as well as impact resistant, claimed up to 1.5 meters. We will be testing this. The IP68 rating is the highest one that I found claimed for this light, though I also found it claimed to be IPX8, though the IP68 is a little bit more intense, so that's what we will be testing this flashlight at, is to those standards. That is claiming full water and dust resistance. We will also be testing the impact though. Let's start with this water test. I have a container here full of water. We will put the light onto moonlight mode and have it on the entire duration. This is going to be for 30 minutes. The flashlight is off. I have the decel, and as we can see, moonlight mode is on. I will now, with the tail cap snugged greatly down, drop it into this container of water with moonlight mode on. Just like that, is fully submerged, and you can see the light on. So I will check back in about 30 minutes. 30 minutes is up, and that is another 30 minutes of success for the Lumintop AD01. As we can see, the moonlight mode is still on. Let's remove the flashlight now. I did notice a couple of bubbles rising out of the area where the flashlight was being held, as if air was being released from somewhere, but this flashlight is working beautifully well still, and we will go ahead and test now the impact resistance claims, as well as we'll get this thing kind of dirty and test that IP68 rating a little bit further. It is looking good. We can power it off, turn it on low, medium, high, and turbo, and it is looking good. Let's go ahead and continue our testing. Now progressing onto the dust resistance test, I am a little bit scared in all honesty, because I'm going to use diatomaceous earth. If you don't know what that is, it is literally these microscopic crushed powder formations from fossilized crustaceans or sea creatures. It is a diabolical substance that will get all over everything, and it is just about the finest little powder. And if there is anything at all that can get inside of this flashlight to perhaps ruin the battery connection, or maybe get into the lens area and destroy its usability a bit, it is this stuff. It is no joke at all. So we're even going to up the ante by dipping it again in water. Just from that little bit touching the outer bag, you can see that this is just, it will get inside of any opening at all. So we have our little container here filled with the diatomaceous earth. I'm going to dunk the light into the water, therefore making it even worse conditions. So now the flashlight's even wet, and oh, I hate doing this. There we go. I just put it into the diatomaceous earth. Oh my goodness. This is heinous. Okay, well, this is insane. Truly a torture test. If there's any opening whatsoever in the lens area or the battery compartment, then it will have gotten in there. Absolutely 100% certain. Look at this. That is literally caked on, while wet, these microscopic crushed fossilized powder. That is insane. I'm going to roll around a couple more times, then we'll go ahead and wash it off and see if anything made it inside with the tail cap area, and we'll turn the flashlight on and see if there's anything in the lens area that got trapped. And this simulates worst conditions possible. Okay, there is our dust test. Let's go ahead and rinse it off. This poor flashlight. even dunk the lanyard a little bit. So we see that much has come off just from being dunked in the water. Now let's get it nice and dry. We will test the light. We have the aggressive knurling. This is going to take a moment. So let me get this clean and we'll go ahead and continue the test. Okay, so that was about as intense as a dust test can get. I have it dried off mostly well, and it went a little bit better than I thought. Let's see if the unit works. Okay, good. So we have our low, medium, high, and turbo. So the flashlight is functioning. Let's go ahead and look inside of this lens area. I do not see any particles of the diatomaceous earth, as well as there's nothing clouding the picture from the beam. So I don't see any diatomaceous earth jumping around inside of the lens. So it seems to be clear in that regard. And then cracking open the tail cap, let's see if any diatomaceous earth has made it inside. And I'm going to say no right off the bat, as we see the threads are looking clear. And then the tail cap itself looking nice and shiny. There's no diatomaceous earth on the battery either. So this unit has survived the water and dust test. That is impressive. If any kind of dust was going to get in there, it would have been that diatomaceous earth. So let's move on to our final torture test, and that is our drop or impact test. So, what can we conclude from what we just saw over the past 40 plus minutes? I think that this flashlight performed fantastically. I opted to conduct 2 drop tests. These were done at 4 feet 7 inches off of the ground. We see impact number 1 and the remnants of that, as well as impact number 2 and its remnants, mostly along this area here. This knurling and the overall construction provided great protection, and this flashlight does in fact still work greatly and perfectly as it should. So my friend, just to demonstrate my point earlier about being able to kind of supplement night vision with this flashlight, let's go ahead on a short night hike just like I would under night vision, except only using this flashlight. We will also be conducting a test while we do this. It is a beautiful night, and I hope that you all are getting out just the same as I am. We are currently on low mode, and this alone would be a beautiful hiking setting, just going around. But our test is going to be how hot the flashlight gets when it's on turbo mode. Just as a quick demonstration here, some real world stealthy night hiking. I mean, of course, we're under a full moon, so the results would be even better otherwise. But this right here, the 1 lumen moonlight or eco mode. So, of course, it's not only for stealth. You could put this on and have fantastic battery life. And speaking of battery, we are on the exact same battery as when I started in this area filming. Now we're on high. There's a rabbit that just ran away. Certainly seen some deer, heard some creatures. Let's go ahead though, and I'm going to bump it up into turbo mode. So now it's in turbo, and this is of course extremely bright. I mean, when I was watching videos, I was kind of under the impression, this light does have a very intense center kind of hot spot. But if you just look around, even though the main part of the beam is very intense and focused in one area, where you're basically just producing a column of light, I mean, look how much light we get on the sides. That's actually very impressive. Even goes up to the treetops. It's a great view. But the main part, or the main reason behind this test is the heat. Many flashlights, when they're in turbo mode, even already, they would be almost too hot to handle, or at least uncomfortable. But right now, we are just cruising along. I can feel the absolute slightest amount of heat from around the lens area, but I am still totally holding on to it very comfortably. As you can see, the beam, due to the fog, but ultimately we are cruising along. You can see how far into the woods, I mean, as deep as you'd be able to see during the daytime, be able to see here under turbo mode. This, of course, is no surprise, but we're testing the heat out, and I am already impressed. This flashlight is extremely comfortable to hold, even under the intense turbo mode. I do believe that we may experience a drop-off depending on how long we are recording, and if the flashlight has that feature where it will automatically shut off the turbo mode and revert back to a less powerful kind of step down mode. But so far, we are looking great. Not hot at all. So if you're somebody who really thinks that they're going to be potentially using turbo mode a lot, there's your answer. This is very nice. Let's go around this corner here. This is beautiful. And I'm a big fan of my headlamp. Let me know if you'd like to see a review of that. But I must say that walking around with this is, even more pleasant than the headlamp. And that's about it. Well, if there was a step down, I did not notice it. Look at that. Looking all the way across this field. Very impressive. And I guess the one kind of duality here is that testing night vision under a full moon, I mean, usually when you're using night vision, you're looking for a full moon so that you can take advantage of it. But during a flashlight test, it's actually kind of less advantageous because you want to test it in, the flashlight will look its best in the darkest conditions. So testing it here during a full moon is actually putting the flashlight at a disadvantage because of the ambient light being somewhat plentiful. So that's an interesting note. But again, I mean, this is very fun, and ultimately, besides all this information and performing this test, I really just like advocating on going out and having yourself a fun little night hike. It's probably, well, let's see about what time it is right now. It looks like it is just about 1 in the morning. About 10 minutes till 1 in the morning. You don't have to be camping. You can just make a dedicated trip out. Have a good time. Now, we're basically reapproaching the vehicles. So that was the entire little walk in to this public land area. I'm under the impression that the flashlight stayed on turbo mode, which is very impressive. And I mean, when I say that it's somewhat warm, I mean, I can sense that the flashlight is slightly warmer than body temperature. Like it's just enough to be a little bit warm. Very cool. That was the entire walk, I believe, under turbo mode. If it stepped down and I just did not notice it, then hey, I mean, that must mean that whenever it steps down to a pretty beautiful throw still. Putting my hand in front of the beam, I can feel a little bit of heat, just like that, a little bit. There's some creatures walking around. Very cool. Having that large throw on hand is nice compared to a headlamp because it's just so powerful and you can maneuver it almost faster than your head. That's it. We are back. I hope you enjoyed this short little night hike. It does not take much. You don't need to be wealthy and spend thousands of dollars to go on a night hike. This little thing is your own handheld, inexpensive, yet still very impressive and high quality night vision. That is awesome, and overall, I think it speaks for itself. This flashlight is a great purchase, and I've had a fantastic time with it. Thank you to Goodnight Gear for providing this unit, and all of the links necessary to purchase this will be provided below. Thank you very much for watching, and again, always remember, don't have a good day, have a good night.